In other countries, it's May 1st. Yeah, International Labor Day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Tane. How
And
are
then,
you?
oh yeah, yeah, you know what we call Independence Day, I think on Monday, on Tuesday, Monday.
So it's a series of holidays, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's like Japan too. It's
right.
called Golden Week is in Japan. The emperor's birthday is Midori no Hi or Tenno no Tanjobi. That's my birthday too. That's the World War II emperor who was kind of a bad guy, Hirohito. And then the next holidays are the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and 6th. There's like Children's Day and Flower Day and all these other days. So most people will take off the 30th, the 1st, and the 2nd, and they'll put together a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days of holiday, I think. All right. Actually, 1, 8. Oh, it's really long. Yeah, 8 days of holiday. So the Japanese are lucky. Tane, is your microphone okay?
Yes, good evening, teacher.
Good evening to you. I'm just talking with Ms. Duke, and we're hoping a student will come.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking it's only me and Brendan.
Yeah.
I
We're
think
talking
because
about
they start the holiday from this evening.
this evening.
Oh, really? Oh,
Maybe someone like because they work in the big city and they are from the hometown, like another province, so it takes their time to go back their hometown. But I don't know. That's my
I think
idea.
it's true. Will the highways get really busy and the roads staying for everyone going back home tonight?
Yeah, yeah. Today the street is so in rush hour. It's very
unbelievably crowded.
Yeah.
Does it look like families or single people driving their cars to like leave the city and go back to their hometown?
I think both.
Both, yeah, both.
Yeah.
This is interesting because that's the case also in Japan and Korea. Their sort of unbelievable growth rate started in the 1950s, 60s, and 70s. And that's when the highways just became so crowded with families because so many people moved to the big cities from the countryside to take the new work. And it sounds like Vietnam's going through that process too. The main city centers are filled with new people, and then everyone wants to get back to the hometown.
Yeah. But I guess Hanoi for next 5 days will be very peaceful.
Yeah.
Because everyone go for holiday or go back their hometown.
My friend in Korea said he was really nervous because one time he was on a bus that was stopped in traffic going from the big city Seoul to the countryside, and the driver didn't want to wait because there was 3 hours of traffic ahead of them. So the driver took his bus and went through the grass and up into the other side of the highway with cars coming at them. And he said it was just unbelievable that someone would do something so dangerous. Yeah, he said he never felt more nervous that their car was going to crash. And so when the cars did start coming the other way, the driver of the bus brought the bus onto the stony side of the road to keep going. It was just so weird. Yeah. Do people do crazy driving like that in Vietnam?
I think yes, because like with the public transport, so it's not like the new that I heard from my friend that a driver they need to follow the schedule that that the staff give to them, and if they late, so they will the staff would be fined.
Okay.
Like they need to pay because they need to, it's like kind of punishment that they need to give them pay the money because they are late. So every driver they are trying to be on time, but the traffic is so crazy because a lot of people drive the motorbike. So the driver so hurry up to stop and keep going.
Oh my gosh. Wow, yeah. There was, in the Philippines, they had that really bad problem with people taking amphetamines, and it just became this violent thing. And amphetamines are speed, stimulants to stay awake. But most of the truck drivers in Philippines drove 14 to 16 hours a day, so they became bad amphetamine addicts, and the government just put them in jail. They didn't really help them get off the amphetamines because it's a bad addiction. It has low percentages of people can successfully get away from the amphetamine lifestyle, but they didn't do it for pleasure. They did it to stay awake in their trucks. And so it wasn't really fair to the drivers. And then you see all the men in prison, these really crowded prisons, and they're just truck drivers really who got into the bad habit of taking stimulants to stay awake at night. And also it's dangerous too, because they're driving 14 hours a day and they're on stimulants, but even on stimulants, they crash, the effect wears off, and then there are like terrible accidents. So I think this new president, back to the Marcos guy, whose father was that bad dictator, the new president Marcos has stopped, I think, the real serious punishment for the amphetamine addicts. It's
How
a very
could you write that?
Yeah, amphetamine addicts. It was pretty bad. Amphetamine addicts. The dictatorships in these countries don't really help. So I'm glad Vietnam is opposed to dictatorships. The old dictator about 5 years ago is a very violent person. He would have people killed who are amphetamine addicts. And they think up to 5,000 amphetamine addicts were actually shot in the streets. So this isn't a way to solve a social problem. Yeah, and so it's a very complicated problem. But yeah, from what I understand, Manila's traffic was just crazy because they don't have good government planning for these things, and Manila also grew to be such a big city. So these social problems are complicated. I teach a writing course for KBN here, the organization, and I have about 5 adult students, and they all write papers that show the complex issues. All 5 of the writers are really good. They weigh both sides of social policy issues without making any yes or no. They agree, but they also recognize other factors. So the papers are written really nicely. It's for the IELTS course. Do you know this IELTS, the British Council in Vietnam?
Yeah.
So these are practice papers that they send me, and they take the challenge 30 IELTS papers in 30 days if they can do it. And they're really serious students. So I always give them feedback, as much feedback as I can on social issues. And so if you're interested, you can ask Ms. Duke about IELTS if you're interested, Ting.
Yeah, like I see Vietnamese young generation, they are like crazy with IELTS test.
Oh, are they? They're just like
even grade 5, even like student in grade 5, they start to learn and do the IELTS test for their application for secondary school.
Is it IELTS
So
Junior
crazy.
or is it the adult test?
I think like kind of academic IELTS test.
Yeah, is it for like younger learners though? Because some of the topics are really deep,
Yeah, and I'm not really like, I'm shocked because they are grade 5 and they do kind of IELTS that they need to think a lot and they have about idea about the topic.
Do you look at the papers to see if they are, actually good at what they do?
Yeah, their band like around 5 and 6.5.
Oh, not bad. Good score.
Yeah. With their age, I think it's really talent.
Tim, you are the social worker or school psychologist at your school?
Yeah, I'm school psychologist.
Well, that's interesting because when I was in Taipei, I was friends with a woman named Sunny, I think. She's the school psychologist for the high school in Taipei. And so I would talk to her because I used to do on the chatter IEP. Do you know IEP? Tane, you must know that, right?
IDP?
Yeah, IEP, Individual Education Plan. It's interesting. It recognizes that students who have learning disabilities or ADHD, the attention deficit, they can't really do 100% of the work, but they want the students to stay in school and be productive to at least get a secondary education so that they can do vocational training or something afterwards. Even the asparagus, how do you spell asparagus? Asparagus. You know, the autism asparagus. Yeah. Even asparagus kids can go to a regular college, but what the educators try to do is they take the assignments that all the regular students are doing who don't have autism or hyperactive disorder or attention deficit, and they write up about 70% of what's expected of the other students. So they say, if you can do 70% of this work, that's excellent. That's enough for you to pass this class. So I had to work with a boy who had a lot of ADHD problems. His behavior was really bad. He was intelligent, but he couldn't focus. And then his memory was terrible. He would forget what he wrote on an essay. And, so, I said, look, you wrote me this practice essay yesterday. Now you don't remember anything. I said, here, I'm going to give this back to you. And he said, no, that's cheating. I said, you wrote this yesterday from your memory. You made this work so you can use these as notes on your test. And he said, really? I said, yeah, he had a strange voice. I said, yes, if you can do what you've written here, you'll at least get, a passing grade. So,
Yeah.
not bad.
I think education in Vietnam is really hard for students with the development delay because they with the student have problem with development delay, they can join the kind of name that disability center. Here they will have a special teacher to teach them. But with the public school, like even school psychologists, it really like there's some public school in Hanoi, school psychologists, and this position usually another teacher work in school will work as a duty of school psychologist, but it not very work with student because she is like they are teacher and they work in another hand as school psychologist, and student would be really hard to share everything with teacher like that. And no position for special teacher, special education teacher.
Well, I worked at a private English practice school near my house, and I really enjoyed a Saturday class with two members, but they were very different people. One man was a businessman interested in movies and cinema, films, but his study partner, the two of them were taking a semi-private class, was this very large-sized woman, very commanding with a strong voice. And she was a school psychologist, but she had to work at 3 Japanese high schools because that's all the budget there was. And she spoke to me, do you know this word, Tane, called candidly, is very openly, because she knew I studied school psychology. So candidly means she shared without stopping, she shared her experiences. And she said the caseload of working for 3 high schools, the caseload was just so unbelievable. There were so many kids with autism disorders, behavioral disorders, that she was just completely overwhelmed, stressed out. Then the funniest thing about her, I really love teaching her and the other guy. The funniest thing, Tane, is she said, Brendan, I actually have a form of autism myself. So that, and it's really, because now there are like 200 different kinds of autism. And
Yeah.
yeah, and so I thought, wow. And she said, yes, this is why I really want to work with these students. But she felt, that she said she felt, this one stretched too thinly, too thinly to do work at 3 different high schools. She felt she was stretched too thinly. They wanted her
Yeah.
to do way too much. Because I think, like in Vietnam, there's one social worker or school psychologist for one high school.
No social worker in school,
Oh
in
no.
public school. Yeah.
In a public
With
school.
private, maybe have one, at least one
Uh-huh.
social worker and school psychologist, but with public school, no social worker.
Okay, yeah. So that's also like Japan. KBN said, no one else. What should we do, Teacher Brendan? Dane's
I-
having a great conversation.
I know, but
I was going to, start the actual writing lesson in about 10 minutes. Do you want to reschedule it, Dorothy? That way everyone gets
yeah,
to
that's
enjoy.
what I'm thinking so, because
Yeah.
if it
Fine, Dorothy.
if it's speaking class, it's okay, but if it's writing class with
Yeah.
one student, yeah.
All right.
And
right, Tim.
probably everyone got the excuse, and it's 20 minutes.
Tane, would you like to do the writing next Friday? We can try again.
Yeah, of course. I can
Okay,
try on
fine.
Friday. I
Fine.
think it's
We're
good,
just
perfect idea.
So Dorothy, have you been listening to us? We're just talking about educational policy and social workers and school psychologists. It's very educational. All right.
Yeah,
All right.
continue your conversation if you want to. I just asking.
Let's talk in another 10 minutes. Is that all right, Tane?
Yeah.
Because you came. I mean, at least you came. And so you should be awarded something, rewarded with something. So let's talk another 5 or 10 minutes, if that's okay.
Yeah, so let's
I-
make it 30 minutes. Yeah.
Or do you want to end?
I reward 20 minutes. It's good for me.
All
Enough
right.
for me. Yeah,
It's enough for you. Oh, it's enough for you. Oh my God.
yeah.
All right.
You don't need to say sorry because
All
yeah, I'm happy to be
Okay.
here and talk with you.
All right.
Yeah. But
Fine.
we will see each other on next Friday, right? With
Next Friday.
other students as well.
Okay, Tane. So thank you for discussing educational psychology with me. And the only thing I was going to say, in Taiwan, they also have a school psychologist at every public school. So that's really good for the students. My friend Sunny was very patient, but she also had to do the IEP, the individual education plan. So she was a
Yeah.
very busy person. What else? I taught a class on Wednesday, and there are 2 high school students there. And one student is wonderful. She speaks American English so well, but she speaks very fast because she's in an advanced class. But she said the students at this high school, I forgot which city, maybe Ho Chi Minh City. She said there is a very high level class that she's in, and most of those students will go to college of their first choice. But she said the students who aren't really interested in this really big high school, they will stand around smoking cigarettes and
Oh,
trying to look cool. Yeah. And I said, that's, they're about 17, 18-year-olds smoking. And I said, why do they smoke? Do they need the nicotine? And she said, no, they just think they look cool.
cool. Yeah.
But I said, they have to be really careful of that, because my brother used to do that in high school. And then he became really addicted to nicotine. Yeah. So, nicotine addiction is
Yeah,
just not
yeah.
a good thing. Mm.
In Vietnam, not just only nicotine. They sell the cigarettes and mix another kind of chemistry. I don't know what it's called, but like it affect their health a lot and affect the student memory.
Oh, no. Do they use those vape things also?
Yeah, kind of vape. I think so.
I don't know about those. Those companies who make those are kind of terrible, because they make bubblegum flavored vape, and then children want to use those. Like in one school, 11 and 12-year-olds wanted the bubblegum vape, but there's a lot of nicotine in those, so they're getting kids addicted to nicotine.
Yeah.
All right.
Mm.
Well, sounds like you want to start your weekend, Tane. So,
I will start my holiday from now.
okay. Please have a safe holiday. All right. And
Yeah.
we'll see you for the writing next week, if that's okay.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Bye bye, Tane.
Bye bye. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
Bye
Cô.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Rồi, bye bye em nha.